Is Craig here? It's online? Yeah. Yeah. Is Craig online
Oh, hi. Yes, this is Craig Reardon.
yes, hi, good morning. Good morning, Craig. I look at the plans online. Okay. Yes, Craig, I look at the drawings online and everything is fine, but on page 13, can you go to page 13, which is the one that shows the parking lot? It has no dimensions whatsoever about the width of the parking, the length of the parking, and there's a curb detail missing, which is an important detail because we want to make sure that the planting stays, especially the planting on the right-hand side of the driveway. What can you please add those dimensions uh, and um, and we can and we need a detail of the curve. If you go to the next page, yeah, there is a curve, but that's not that's where the driveway uh, joins the street, the one at the bottom. We need a curve detail that's showing how the driveway is separated from the planter on the right-hand side of the and especially on the right-hand side of of the driveway. If you can add those details, we will review them uh, and we can approve them. Is that okay?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if our plein air, I think is Kevin Small. I'm not sure if he's on or if Ethan is on, but yeah, I'm not sure if the measurements got removed, but we can certainly
Yeah.
have those be however you guys would like them to be. Is there, but the measurements didn't change from the last.
No, no, I know, but they're not listed. There's nothing, there's no dimension, there's nothing to, right? Am I correct?
Well, I was gonna suggest that instead of having them have to come back, maybe we could give them a conditional approval that the curb is 6 inches high and 6 inches wide, like a typical curb. And if you want to verify the dimensions, I mean, that it just seems like
Okay.
it might expedite the process for.
Okay, let's do that. We approve the plan with just as you mentioned, with a curve to be at least 6 inches high and 6 inches wide, separating the driveway from the planters
That's on all three sides of the driveway.
on three sides, yes, of the driveway, yes. And there is there is oh yeah, there's a detail of the fence which is important too. You show that there, so I think we're fine. Okay, we'll do that as a condition of approval. So you need to dimension the driveway and put the dimensions on the drawing, please. Okay.
Sounds great. So
Okay, very good.
do we need to resubmit that or how do we?
No, the when you submit to the building department or to the just put those dimensions there and that note about the curve. Okay.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you.
thank you.
And last item is let's see, we have Mission Canyon, 1250 Las Canoas Lane. Tim Gorter. Oh, here you are, Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at the drawings, are very complete. You can, so the trellis, that's acceptable to the fire department, the heavy timber.
It is, at least we got plan check corrections back and it did not mention the distance to the main residence.
But we hear different things sometimes that it has to be fire treated or not. Okay.
Yeah, we looked at the local adopting ordinance and it did mention distance to a main residence. So we actually moved the trellis very slightly back from the main residence to comply with.
Is that the 50 feet?
I can't remember. Someone else in my office looked at it, but yeah, it was something like 15 feet was what they required.
Okay, and then, yeah, and if it's attached, then it has to be fire treated. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it was attached, yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so the drawings are pretty complete. Is the landscape okay?
Yeah, it looked good at the last meeting. I don't think anything.
Okay, very good. Okay, it's great to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That completes the consent calendar.
All right, good morning. We'll begin.
There he is.
Yeah, we'll begin the February 7th, 25 Aspire hearing. And we'll begin with any public comment not pertaining to any items in today's agenda. Anyone online or in the audience?
We have no public comment.
Okay, close public comment. Thank you. We'll move on to the agenda status report. Any changes, Jonathan?
Yes, let's see here. Going down to item number 4, Bahaj Family Trust Meeting Facility, 24 BAR-00167 has, they have a new BAR case number, so this item is being dropped from the agenda.
Okay. And move on to reviewing the minutes from January 24th. I don't think we have a quorum. So we can review them and then make a motion when Josh gets here. Was Josh here at last hearing, last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then we'll have a quorum once he's here. We also will need to make one more spot for him. Okay. Yeah. Do we have Joe on in case anything needs adjustment?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, Joe. It was
Much to
short.
these
Okay,
minutes.
they seem fine. All right, well, we'll make a motion once Josh is here. And we'll move on to Aspire member informational briefings. First, do we have anything? I'll introduce our new member in a minute. Do we have anything else from any other?
I'll probably not be at the next meeting, just so you know.
You know, and I will be out of town for the next one as well. Oh, shoot. So we need to make sure it's a short agenda. Yeah, I will be not in the country. Okay, sounds good. Okay, we have a new member to Aspire. This is Amy Tripp. She has just completed being the AIA Santa Barbara chapter president. And we are so honored to have her join our board, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little more.
Thanks. Good morning. Happy to be here. I'm a licensed architect, and I previously sat on the Architectural Board of Review for the city of Santa Barbara and chaired the last year. And I've been on the board of directors for the local AIA Santa Barbara and was president last year. So thanks.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you. All right, and we'll move on to the staff update. Anything for us, Joe?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. So I did want to mention that our Long Range Planning Division took the SB 9 ordinance and the telecom ordinance to the board earlier this week, and it was approved. So I believe it will be going into effect. I believe it's in 30 days. So that's going to be coming forward.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible for you to send us the final copy? I'm sure it's somewhere on the county's website, but just so we can see how the objective design standards ended up.
Yes, we can absolutely share the final version with you guys.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There were 3 items. Alex, do you want to summarize?
Yes, C1 is on Toro Canyon, 2970 East Valley Road, approved as submitted. C2, C2 is 6867 Trigo Road, and the IB area and Isla Vista, approved for the parking modification. And C3 is at 1250 Las Canoas Lane. Final approval. So I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as submitted.
Second.
Yeah, and I think the second item was a conditional approval that they would return with details on the curbing and dimensions for the parking.
Correct, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll second it with that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, move on to item number 1. Is the applicant online or in the audience for item 1? The RJL Padaro LLC addition at the request
this
of
is-
Jennifer C.
Yeah, good
Sorry.
morning.
Good morning. Is that Jennifer?
Hi, I'm here online, but the architects are there in person. And I'm just going to give a very brief overview because this is a pretty straightforward project. This is a lot on Padaro that is toward the west side of Padaro. It's 0.61 acre lot. The house is a 2-story house. It's a little over 8,600 square feet. And the project is mostly cosmetic update, needs a refresh. But it does have a small addition and a little bit of demolition and new landscaping. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward. So we've got the architects there in the audience, and then we have our landscape architect online. So I'm going to let Danny take it away.
Thanks, Jennifer. My name is Danny Longwell, architect with Two Trees Architects.
I'm John Kucharski with Two Trees Architects.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Jennifer did a good job of introducing the general scope of it. I did want to point out that we actually have a net reduction in square footage, about 500 square feet. The primary focus of the project was to update a already very nicely built house from the 80s. Just needed to be brought into the modern era. And with that, kind of a refresh of the identity of that. Primarily the south and north facades were modified to kind of maximize the new architectural language and to benefit the ocean views. It's a long, narrow lot with a big house, and the current kind of primary living area was very disjointed with a kind of a sunroom between the living area and the view. So it's just kind of like cleaning that up, making the most of that. So you can, pretty good site photos there with the drone. You can see those sunrooms that are kind of flanking both sides, and from the inside, it really pushed you back into the house and, took away the biggest part of owning this property. So next, please. Survey. Next, please. So on the site plan, this is kind of just showing the existing and proposed and the string lines. And you can see we're kind of straightening out that facade. We're actually pulling back a little bit, you'll see in the elevations, and just kind of straightening out the corners of the ocean facing facade so that the great room really has a good view and flows better to the outside. There's quite a nice bit of landscape between the ocean and the house, and I think you'll see on Lisa's plans how most of it's staying on the bluff, but it's connected to the house. That flows into the house a little better. Next, please. It's got a little basement. We'll just go through the floor plans next. So that's existing. It kind of has these curves that maybe are a little more in line with some of the things that were popular in the 80s. Next, please. So you can kind of see the squared off version, the part of the house that was demoed and the part that was put back, and the great room has a much better connection to the ocean views. Next, please. Second floor existing. Next. Second floor proposed. There's a big there's a pretty large balcony on the second floor, but it primarily serves as sun control for the patio below. So you'll see that on the elevations too. Next, please. existing roof plan. Next, proposed roof plan. So you can see how the roof kind of, if you toggle back and forth, the roofs on the ocean side on the left kind of pulls back and becomes more linear. But, you know, we also worked with the existing roof lines as much as possible. Next. Okay, so this is comparing the street facing elevation, which is very well screened with trees, but this is to show you the architecture behind the screening. You can see the existing house above and the proposed below. The little vignette on the left kind of just shows this protected courtyard and this little landscape arbor feature that you will enter through into that courtyard. Next, please. You can see that it's a pretty large house. The side facades are pretty well broken up and articulated. We kept those for the most part, just kind of refreshing those with material changes, new doors and windows, of course, new roofs. Next, please. This is the ocean facing elevation. Again, the one above is the existing, and you kind of had this little skinny doorway in the middle, and the everything on the side was kind of like a sunroom. The one on the right, the sunroom, was actually a few steps down, so it really felt disconnected from the interior space. Next, please. We did this. We've been working closely with the interior designers, so this is just to show you that the floor plan is well developed as it relates to the architecture on the outside, these spaces to, you know, to maximize the flow. But you can, I think, was the material board in there? Oh, can you go back? I think we just passed the material board. It's 2 more sheets back. Yeah, there, thanks. So these are the proposed materials. It's a painted wood siding with a random width vertical board, kind of like minimal overhangs, some kind of plastered over brick. We have painted steel doors and windows, kind of this grayish green-blue concept. So kind of a lightweight beach vernacular thin, you know, has a modern edge to it, but it's soft and beach-like. And we've got kind of a charcoal slate roof proposed. And yeah, that's it. And then if you jump to page 30, we'll pass all the interior elevations and we can get to the landscape plan. I think, Lisa, are you online?
Hi, Danny. Yes, I am.
Oh, hi, Lisa.
Hi.
I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, are we gonna, next page,
Next
please?
page,
Next page. So this page is actually starting with details. I don't know if you want to flip down to the landscape plans. Okay, this is a good one. So this is the front garden, and we've divided it into the entry motor court, the interior courtyard, and the rear garden. And our rear garden selection stops just about where the existing fire pit starts. And our goal with the palette for both gardens was to keep kind of just a soft coastal look with a combination of soft plantings that produce flowers seasonally. And if you scroll it up a little bit, we can look at the images. Yeah, there they are. And if you want to maybe, there you go. Okay. So if we start at the entry courtyard, our thoughts were to maybe look at reducing some of the water use. There are a lot of big, heavy use water trees in the garden right now that take up a lot of the sunlight in the garden and overhang more than we'd like to let the sunlight in. So we're proposing replacing with Quercus Virginianas and olive trees, both of which can be kept pruned back and thinned out at any time of the year, so we can keep the light flow coming in. We have a combination of generally low water plantings in the entry motor court. We slide into the interior courtyard, and what we've done is we've kind of transferred some, but not all of the same plant material into the interior courtyard to give it that general, like a flow through feel. We've repeated the Koreas, we've repeated the iris. We've repeated in the interior courtyard a couple of olive trees. And then you go to the rear garden, and it's a very open palette, a combination of salvias, sages, a couple of hardier shrubs for the property line, additional privacy that can be planted up into the neighbor, close to the neighbor's existing trees, just so that it's a nicer hierarchy of planting. And we have the sages and salvias that will bring seasonal color to the garden, as well as birds, butterflies, and will tolerate the salt air really nicely. And that would cover the plant material.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd be great if you can scroll back to just page 1, cover sheet. Sometimes it's, yeah, perfect.
Here we
I just
go.
wanted
Here we
you
go.
to, now that you've become introduced to the project, scroll back to these 2 renderings, because I think they're kind of helpful to recap kind of what we said. Thank you.
Right, so we'll come back for questions from the board. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a comment on the description of the project that it is confusing. I remember when I read it, I was trying to figure out, well, are they adding 8,000 square feet or what? It's just that the first sentence should end up in the word garage. Conceptual review of remodel addition to the existing dwelling and garage, period. Then you put the second sentence, the following structures exist on the parcel, and you mention them. And then you say, the new house is proposed to be so many square feet and so forth, because the way it's written, it's very unclear, So it's just the order of the sentences. Okay, please.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. Can we go to the elevations? Yeah, the next one. Yeah. So go up a little, yeah. Just what's the existing condition with the neighbors? Because there's such big windows in the right-hand side of
Yeah, that's a
this
good,
east elevation.
it's hard to tell on this elevation, but that half where the big windows are is in
Set
the
way back.
interior courtyard.
Right.
So,
So there's quite a bit in between. Is
Yes.
there actually building?
yeah, there's a kind of a whole outdoor area, and there's actually these massive eucalyptus trees on
Okay.
that neighboring side of the
Okay.
courtyard. So when you're
Okay.
sitting in that area, that's actually kind of a fire pit.
Okay.
It's inside the front entry gate. Like,
Right.
it's a landscape. It's a destination for this property, and flanking the property line are like 80-foot.
Big trees. Okay. So then where you get closer to the neighbors is where you've.
Yeah,
got
smaller
your
windows,
space.
high windows, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. In the rendering of the front of the house, it looks like there's trees on either side of the gate. In the landscape plan, maybe it looks a little different, like there aren't any trees. I was just wondering if you could clarify what the planting is on the street side of the.
Yeah, I think I'll let Lisa fill in, but on her plan, but some of those trees are on the neighbor properties. They kind of just, the side yards are kind of swallowed by trees, to be honest. But if you go to the landscape proposed planting plan, Lisa can point out what is staying and what's going.
And we're not we're not touching anything on the street side of the gates. That is all existing to remain. So you can see, to Danny's point, all the dashed lines, those are the neighbors' trees, and they're dashed out in a mindful manner, but they really push in to this client's property on the side yards. So in the front, you can see the more the soft swirly lines, the three closest to the street, those are Quercus virginianas. And then the trees with more of the scallop feel are the olive trees. And we're kind of replacing all in very similar locations to the trees that we're removing. But the trees that are there now are so overgrown, particularly on the side of the neighbors on the bottom of the sheet. They all just kind of crash into one another.
Okay, but there's no trees proposed in front of the property here on the street side. All the trees are
Nothing.
inside the driveway, it
Correct.
looks like.
100%. Nothing. The street side stays as it is.
And there's existing landscaping there that looks good, that is going to remain? That's what you've described?
There's existing landscaping there. We may need to do a replacement here or there by the time construction finishes, but it has a fine feel to it right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
If you want to see on page 2, there's some site photos of that front condition.
Looks like image 7 and 8.
I had one question. So the dashed trees on the south side, are those being removed?
No, those are the neighbors.
Okay.
It's page 2, images 7 and 8 have the streetscape. 7, 8, and 9.
So all the walls that are shown there around the driveway are staying in place. None of that changes. So the
Correct.
planting can just remain as is.
Just a new, more solid gate.
Okay.
Correct.
Thanks for clarifying. I wasn't sure if the.
And you
That
can
was all
see on
true.
that, on image 8, you can see those big eucalyptus are kind of bossy into the property. And even from the day this was taken to current, they've filled out even a little bit more.
All right, one last question. Only because those street pictures have the trash cans all along the street. I'm sure it was just trash day, but do you have a proposed trash enclosure?
That's actually
You
a
don't like
convenient,
that?
convenient little gate right behind them that they pull out.
Okay, I couldn't tell from that makes sense. Okay. All right, any other questions? Move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
We have nobody in our attendees column, and we have received no letters for this project.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Val.
Can you go back to the elevations? How about, let's take a look at the west elevation too. Yeah, so again, there's, I guess there's a lot of glass on that west elevation. That's very close to the neighbor on the west side. Have you had interaction with them? I see they have a roof deck too that's right adjacent to some of these big windows.
Yeah, it's a big property, the one next door. It's not that visible because of the planting screening, and maybe we can get some photos from the existing windows. There's quite a few. I mean, majority of the windows are in the same position. Like the second story master, which is closest to the ocean,
Right,
actually kind of taken the windows out of
Right.
that. That's the bathroom. That would be the most visible from the neighbor. And then as you go back, there's a lot of property line screening. There's been a few changes. We can I'd say the biggest added window is the one on the very north end above the
Mhm.
garage, and maybe we could bring you some relevant views from that space.
Let's go back to the photo page.
Page 2.
Yeah. That one, yeah. That number 4, that's where you can see the roof deck.
Yeah, and you see the pretty tall, like 2-story buildings there with 2-story.
Yeah, you've got some
Planting,
good
kinda.
trees as you go north. I think it's mainly where that deck is that,
Actually don't know if that's a navigable, like a deck that people can go on. This looks like it is. I don't
hmm,
see any-
Yeah, it's a
so it
fun,
may just be a roof.
yeah, it's a really low, funky roof. And
Future roof deck.
Okay, well, in general, your updating of the architecture is great and fine. And that would be my only concern, that you have some kind of dialogue with the neighbor. And because these properties are so close to each other and people get really sensitive. And to make sure that they are cohesive with what you're proposing there.
Okay.
That's it.
Alex, do you have any comments?
Nothing to add. Thank you. I think it's a beautifully done project, and I agree with Valerie.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, I agree with the comments that have been said. I think it's a nice project, and it's nice that it pulls back from the beach even more than it is right now. So,
Robert?
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments. It's a nice project. It definitely improves the house in terms of, it looks kind of aged in its quality. For that upper level where you got the deck, is that like a glass railing that you're showing around it?
yeah, it's glass railing. It kind of has the short glass railing. It has kind of a curb, just to kind of give some weight to that projection. And also just to create a better feeling of privacy for the master above it. It really cuts off that angle from the beach. Like you get the views out, but you don't feel like you're kind of super exposed. It's a nice layer of privacy.
I think it looks nice, so I support your project.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with all the comments that have been said, and think it's a really elegant update to the architecture. Very familiar with this property from the beach, and I like to see that it's being pulled back, and you don't often see a reduction in the square footage on this street, so I think that's a welcome thing.
Great. I agree with the positive comments, and I think the landscape solutions are appropriate to the site and will enhance the landscape. So you are here agendized for conceptual review. So does the board feel like they can just come back prelim? I mean, if you're ready for prelim, final full board, but
Considering there are no comments, how about consent? It just seems like everything's.
yeah, I get, since it's a remodel. Yeah.
Right,
Everyone agree with that?
Unless you want to see it again.
I mean, landscape plans are pretty complete as once the Wheelo and sorry, maybe Wheelo was on there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're totally complete with landscape for whatever phase we need that we move forward in. We're 100%.
Okay. So definitely coming back prelim final. Do you guys feel like you want to see does the whole board want to see it or just on consent?
I think it could come back consent, but if you have some kind of feedback on the windows on the west for the consent review. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 2. Before I read this, I just want to note, I think this is the second time this item has been here with the description somewhat incorrect with unless the architect, is it correct that Buildston Architecture is bringing item 2 here?
Yeah,
That's what I thought when I saw it. So for some reason, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure because we should make sure the rest of it's updated for the square footage and things, so. Okay. So maybe
is this
That's, we just need to make sure it's agendized the same way that the cover sheet says.
Yeah, see, this is
Yeah,
completely
this still
the
talks
old
about the
description.
ADU. Which we ran into this and it's tricky because it was agendized this way. The ADU is less relevant, but if there's other significant differences.
What's your square footage?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, come on.
I'm trying to get the title sheet to
I
open.
spent like 4 days in Altadena, so I'm just
Oh, oh,
to say, I can. Made sure to pull it on.
So who's the, okay, yeah, who's on? Veronica, can you speak to whether there's too much discrepancy between the old description that's on our agenda versus the new description that's on the cover sheet for the way it was?
Sorry,
publicly noted?
hi, this is Veronica. You're referring to the Bildstein Architecture and Planning?
Yeah, and the whole description, the project description seems to be out of date. And so we ran into this before. We want to still be able to hear the item, but if it was publicly noticed as a different project, we get a little tricky.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to review the screen. It's a little tiny here. Okay, which portion is like extremely incorrect? I'm getting a little lost.
That there's no ADU
Oh, well, that's
included
okay.
anymore.
Sorry.
And the
To clarify,
architects,
that shouldn't have been in the description anyway. But if they're foregoing that aspect, I think that that's fine. I think we can proceed.
it's a different applicant.
different applicant, yeah.
Well, it's the same applicant. His name is there. It's architect for Kos Nereshad. That is Kos
Okay.
is the applicant.
But the
Bildstein
design-
Architecture and
the
Planning is
design
the
team,
prior.
Yeah, there's no Bildstein architecture anymore.
Yes, that is correct, and that was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago. I thought that was corrected, but obviously it wasn't updated on this agenda. But
Oh,
I don't think
square
that
footages are off.
They don't match. I can't get mine to zoom in. What is are you able to see? Sorry.
On the first floor, so full floor area, 4183.25.
I think Joe could speak to this better, but projects change through the BAR process. I don't think that the square footages being slightly off would.
I think the
prohibit this
challenge
item
is that
from
it's agendized for final and the square footage is different. So yeah, Joe, can you speak to that? Whether we're able to review it? I only bring it up because
Yes,
we just
Madam-
had this happen previously too. What?
Yeah, Madam Chair. So what's showing on the screen right now, it looks like it's showing the total floor area is 4,183 square feet. That's the current request?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the
And then,
description says 4675 on
Yeah,
the
so
agenda.
essentially what would happen here, so this project is going for final review, and the notice that was, or what was on the agenda is actually for a greater square footage than what is actually being requested. So that is not a problem if there's been a reduction in scope. And what was on the agenda, that's okay. But we will we'll work closely with hearing support to make sure that agendas are closely monitored to kind of resolve this issue going forward.
Okay, thank you. All right. Item 2, the Norshad new SFD at the request of Bildstein. Would you like to state your name for the description?
Is it, yeah, Ross Miller with 360 Architecture in Westlake Village.
Thank you. Architect for Kos Norstad, here for final review of a corrected square footage is 4165. On the agenda, it's 4675. Don't know. Yeah, we'll see in a second. For a 2-story family dwelling with attached 530 square foot garage, the ADU in the description has been removed, so I won't read that part. The parcel is currently vacant. The proposed project will require 600 cubic yards of cut and 600 fill. The property is a 3.68 acre parcel at 3040 Foothill Road in the Carpinteria area. I'll start to read the comments and you can tell me if they're the ones you recall from the last hearing.
Absolutely.
Provide full architectural details, refine the topographic grading and grading details to accurately reflect proposed grade, wall heights, and depict how architecture and landscape interface. Note plant quantities on planting plan, provide details on hardscape materials. Restudy retaining wall configuration, materials and colors. Retaining walls should curve more naturally. Increase oak plantings and shade. Oak placement should be placed in a more random configuration at the entry. Increase landscaping in the motor court and deepen the exterior paint color. You can go ahead with your.
That sounds right to me.
Okay. And for today, you can focus on anything that's been updated since the last time we saw it.
Yeah, we updated pretty much everything that you guys talked about. We addressed the details, the architectural details, because we were going into plan check at that time and we were in the middle of developing them. So we came back with full envelope details, guttering, scuppers, all those mannerisms, and we can go to those sheets if you wanted. We deepened the color. Before we had a Fallbrook. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
What page is the color? Well,
Okay, sheets 8201 through 8203.
what number would that be?
Hold on, I will pull it up.
Load.
There we go. So no, you're gonna we're going into the detail section. So you're gonna scroll down to probably like 42 or 43, somewhere around in there. I would imagine. Here we go. Hey, not bad. I got the numbers right. No kidding. Yeah, so we developed the envelope details and railing and when just
And the colors, where are the colors again?
the colors are on the materials board.
Oh, another.
Another sheet.
Okay,
And before we had the Fallbrook color, which was kind of neutral, but after your suggestion, we dropped down to a clay that did deepen, and we felt it really addressed your comments of wanting to blend in a little bit more with the landscape and not, even though we're not bright white or anything, but we wanted to take
Yeah,
into
it looks white.
what you really were concerned
the
about.
details, Jonathan.
Yeah, can you?
There we go.
Through each one of the comments and kind of present them.
I'll go through the architectural, the details we provided, and the colors we adjusted. Shams, Karen is online for the landscape. For civil, on the civil plans, Jane Lewis isn't with us, but I worked with her on softening. We had where the retaining walls were coming together, it came together at a point, and we rolled that out to a nice, I think like 60-foot radius curve on the
one by one to see what you've done. Otherwise, we're going all over the place. Okay.
So,
Now
I'm sorry, I start going.
yeah.
I think we got the colors.
Okay, we got the colors.
Okay.
Here are the details, architectural details.
Go through the details.
Wall, floor to ceiling connections, outdoor window,
Yeah.
how everything's being wrapped and buttoned in. And on each one, we've got the roof details with the hidden gutters. Everything's been worked out accordingly.
Okay, where are the hidden gutters? Where would the gutters be?
Right there, the roof eave detail.
Oh, yeah, there.
Detail,
Oh, got it. Okay, hidden gutter and exposed gutter.
Yeah.
Okay, both of them. Okay, got it.
exactly.
Okay, good.
So we addressed the details.
Uh-huh.
If we go to, let me pull up the engineers, the civil engineers, and then I'll turn it over. I'm sorry, I'll turn it over to Shams in just a second. Let me just pull up.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one
There-
does not show a smooth wall. That's a question we had. Restudy retaining wall configuration, and that seems to still being smooth. It kind of goes
So,
straight.
what we-
a little bit awkward.
What we did, can I stand up there really quick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Easier then.
Yeah.
There's a microphone that behind you.
Thank you. So right in this area along here, we had a seat wall running all the way across this. We removed that entire seat wall. So we just put a nice curb in to hold the, all the hardscape and stuff back in here, and just continued the retaining wall where the motor court is, right over here.
I'm sorry,
For some reason, my apologies, but we have this, we blended these two, and I know this was at a, can we go to the civil engineering drawings, scroll all the way up? I don't know how that got dropped out on ours. Just want to make sure. Structural.
It looks like landscape might have been up.
Oh, yeah, landscape will,
That's a different set, Jonathan.
oh. Yeah,
Yeah, enlarge that, please.
you can really see on this, so how this is completely blended now. It's one nice smooth surface
Okay.
running across. From this point on, we removed that entire seat wall. So that, because there were a lot of issues at the edge of the hill and putting case on is just, and we wanted to
Yeah,
reduce.
I think the comment was to smooth it out and make it continuous as opposed to
Exactly, we
of
smoothed it
breaking,
out.
breaking the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So removing it here, smoothing it out over here, got rid.
Now, on the drawings, it says retaining walls are separate permit. What exactly is that?
Building and safety, the retaining wall is not connected to the house. We have to have, they want the note on the plans that says all retaining walls are under separate permit.
I haven't run into that, but.
Huh?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't run into that yet, but.
So
Yeah, we have the barbecue areas under separate, but everything besides the building is under separate permit. So I've got to run like five.
Okay, but the status will not change. It will be,
No.
okay.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay.
So how high is the wall now without the seat wall?
Oh, there is no wall here. It's
It's just a
an
curb.
architectural curb, but we made the curb about 8 inches wide and about a foot buried in to really get a good grip into the edge, because we do have
Patio.
all the patio being set there. So we want to make a point that at that edge of the hill that, you know what always happens. It slowly starts to push away. And we want, since we got rid of the seat wall, we want to make sure that,
So it's just a curb. And then as
Just
it
a-
curves around on the driveway, that,
yeah, when we hit here,
yeah.
and from the grade, and that was one of the comments, and I remember this on the civil because I worked with Jane. On the civil plans, they've got the finished grade and top of wall, and the most exposed part of the retaining wall right there is 4 feet. Yeah, it doesn't go over anything else. She smoothed out that grade line right at the bottom of that.
Okay.
And by toning down the color, it's going to really blend nicely.
Okay, and then the next was note plant quantities on the planting plan. Those are included now. Provide details on the hardscape materials.
I can,
Here, did you see?
Yeah.
Look through.
Did it show on the materials board what the hardscapes are?
It's on the landscape sheet L3.
so I have the notes from Shams regarding note plant quantities on planting plan, provide details on hardscape materials, plant quantities added to sheet L2, permeable paving detail added to sheet L3.
So there.
Oh, do you have that? I'm sorry. Oh,
And then restudy the retaining wall configurations. We already went through that. Increase the oak plantings and shade. Oak placement should be placed in a more random configuration at the entry. It seems that that's been addressed. And then increase landscaping in the motor court. Looks like it's been minimally added. The last version, I don't think had any planting on the
no.
toe side of the wall. Okay, and deepen the exterior paint color, and you've addressed that.
Yeah, can we go back to the color board or materials board? Go down. So that's your new color, the La Habra roof.
So that, I'm looking at mine right now, hold on, because I can read that from here and that says Fallbrook and we
Yeah.
changed it to clay.
That's what I thought.
Exactly. And hold on. If something in our transmittal, I've got, well, I can flip mine around to show. We've got clay and it's clouded. This sheet is, not the correct sheet. I don't know if there was something in the translation that went, but we had, yeah, ours is dated 2/3. Let me double check.
That would have missed the deadline for, it has to be submitted, is it? For any updates?
It's a Monday. We got it in Monday.
Right.
Made a point.
So I think we'll go through public comment and comments and everything, and then sometimes we can
And we've,
figure out a way for you to confirm that what was submitted, I guess. Okay, so we'll move on to questions from the board. What step are we on? Does anyone have any questions?
Well, do we have the regular, the new colors at all
Sounds
available?
like the whole set is one.
I mean, like, is Veronica King here? Yeah. So do we have
Hi,
a-
yes, I'm still on if you had a question.
So do we have the new colors? I mean, this is not the new, right? Do we have the new colors so we can show them on the screen?
Yeah, sorry, Ross, these aren't the correct ones?
no,
Obviously.
this is
Okay.
dated 12, right? 12 something?
Well, so just to clarify, when you submitted, what you submitted on Monday, that was the renderings and then changes to the elevations, right?
Right. And prior to that
That's the
was,
only sheets I swapped out. My understanding was that that was just the elevation sheet, just the rendering sheet. Those were the only two I swapped out. So
yeah, on
this
Monday.
might actually not be the one you were hoping for them to see.
Okay.
I don't know, if Jonathan would allow it, I suppose I can try to find those.
Unfortunately, they're agendized for final today, so we wouldn't be able to include any other material that wasn't already in the box folder.
Okay. Ross, just to clarify, it's just, are these the color materials? Was this part of the plans that you sent me when I responded and said, I can't review these plans, I'm only going to swap out sheets?
No,
Because
these weren't I know the original one, the first one we sent to you, I have pull up my
Uh-huh.
email. But it had the stucco color and it had a couple of,
So I think what we can, well, let's finish the presentation and comments and all of that, and barring any other major comments, consent can be done online. I know you're coming from out of town, so that's probably the best. In 2 weeks, we can.
that's fine. We're
Okay.
we're
Can't promise it
basically,
until we go
yeah,
through public
no, I
comment,
know.
but
We've
there's
got
a way to get it.
That's totally cool.
Buttoned up.
We've been very consistent answering everything verbatim and clouding things for you guys, and it's in plan. We're finishing up our plan check corrections right now.
Yeah.
We've resubmitted, so it's all kind of going according, it's not going to kill us.
Okay.
It's just like part of the system, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And as soon as we get that out and we've got our agenda letter, we're following the letter of the law with you guys on everything, so.
Sounds good.
And we addressed everything that you guys wanted.
Great.
Maybe, can we see his laptop?
Of course.
Gone full circle.
Of course. So
It's
I-
like
I
a,
kinda assumed it.
Yeah, right. So it's.
it's like a few shades darker.
It wasn't just a shade, it was a shade.
Mhm.
So that's all we wanted to see.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
But I had a question. In the notes or in our comments, there was comments about oak trees, but then there's no oak trees, there's olive trees. Yeah, so okay, so that was just an incorrect comment.
That was it.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to a public comment. Is there anyone online? There's no one in the audience right now.
We have received no letters for this project, and we don't have anybody in the attendees column or in the room for us for public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Alex.
Yeah, I think it's well detailed. The windows are recessed. All the details are fine, and colors are acceptable, as you know, shown today. I'm a little bit unclear about the wall configuration, but it seems to be okay. It seems to be smooth in some of the drawings anyway, and I think it's ready for final approval.
Okay, Val.
Yeah, I'm all right with the detailing and the color. You may find you could even go darker than that, just because on those south facing slopes, we've seen it over and over, dark tan looks bright white. So, and it's
I
what
couldn't
happens
agree
to
with
your
you more.
eyes.
I
Yeah.
always try and go out and get them to do a big swath for me.
Yeah, yeah.
To really, and leave it on there for a few weeks and just see that we're right.
And I was just noticing the stone veneer. Where is that?
That is on the fireplace.
Oh, okay. But that's not the native sandstone. That's,
No, but it's got a washed over it, a grout, an over grout.
okay,
So it really gives it a nice aged look.
yep. So, yeah, it's good.
I don't have any different comments, except I do agree with the color, just because the image didn't look too much darker, but.
Robert.
I think that it was a major improvement to eliminate the seat wall that you had at the edge of the slope, because you're getting this like nice infinity kind of view out of your property. Also, I appreciate the way that you position the trees along that edge too, because a lot of people are always sensitive about not wanting to put trees to block their views, but I think it's going to nicely kind of frame in the house here. So I think you responded well to all the comments, and I support your project.
Thank you. It took a lot of convincing to the owner. He's like, no, I want my views. And we're like, no, you can have specific views.
They'll thank us later. No.
It's a nice project. I'll defer comments. I wasn't here for the previous, I think, maybe six meetings before.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice.
It does have a long checker path.
I agree with the positive comments. I just want to make a detail note that when they detail that retaining wall that meets the motor court, make sure the footing gets deep enough that you actually can plant against it, because it looks like the access road above it, which isn't a very safe condition, but I realize it's an existing condition above it. So there's not a way to shade over that wall. So it's going to be really important to be able to get good plant health in front of
It's
it.
going to have to be pretty well thought out just because of the caissons going down,
Yeah.
and dropping the grade beam, running across. We'll get that nice and low just for that reason.
Sounds good.
I have one random question.
Of course.
I remember way back, probably meeting 2, that we did drive-bys and could see that there was random planting along the road that gave openings of views up to the building. Is there any plan for improving the screening along the road?
Not right now. That wasn't kind of what I was brought in that to address. But I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
probably come up as we get into this
Yeah, they may want it too.
and finish it off.
Yeah.
There's
privacy.
one thing about it all being finished off up top, but as we all know, when we get to the approach, after a while, it'll make a pretty big impact. So I'm sure it will come back to you guys for that.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion with the condition on the color for? It's here for final.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for, well, can we go ahead and are we going to do final on consent then?
Well, I
Have
think
them bring back a
we
color.
either can make a motion with the condition that the paint color is corrected, or we can have them come back for.
Do you want the paint color deepened more?
Yeah, give the number. He has the number in his computer, right? Or something darker, or what is it?
Oh, I've got the number is 830 clay, 40 base 200. La Habra,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I think you could go a step darker. So,
Do you have another number, a darker number there?
yeah,
I don't know, Papa.
well, how about we'll give you, oh, you've already
I
got.
mean, if you want to
feelers.
put in, maybe in the condition, it's just that something, that there's a sample, that we provide a sample
We submitted to
when we,
Whoever
to
makes
the
when we
board,
get-
yeah, yeah. Pending approval, final approval of color by the board, notifying the board.
right, through a notification, because I can, once we get that decided, then I can have that updated for you guys.
Okay,
But I'd rather, if I needed to go a shade in, I may go to like a Merlex, because they may have a deeper shade. You know what I mean? And that way I can kind of report to you guys and shoot it off to Veronica or whoever that would be.
Okay.
And just say, here's the final color.
Right.
For your approval. That's really pretty simple to do these days.
okay, so I'll make a motion for final with the requirement that an additional shade darker on the wall color be submitted for
Perfect.
review by the board.
Do we have a second?
Second, the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
How was Altadena?
Have any of you guys been out there?
Not yet.
Because I worked Thomas and Woolsey, and Woolsey, when you went out to Malibu, it was like a moon, like here, you get that moonscape feel. But Altadena is like Dresden. And you can't even video it because it doesn't give it the kind of, it changes your psyche when you go in there, because you've literally got 10 feet between homes, and you can't see a home standing when you drive down a street. It's just like beyond kind of, yeah, I've been there since each week since the fire started, because I had friends there. So I was fortunate to kind of be able to go in and help right in the beginning and get people rallied to start doing the process. And it helps, well, you help them in that of starting the process, and it gets their mind off of what the calamity and gives hope where they can see that. So that's been kind of the beauty of it.
It's going to be.
That's what it's kind of looking like. I don't know if you guys had much to do with Woolsey at all, or if any of you guys were the state cleanup that happened in Woolsey. There was a lot of problems. But the private contractors that went in really did a great job. And so there's a lot of them jumping into Altadena right now. Palisades, LA City hasn't had a disaster since Northridge. So they're not really prepared for this. But Altadena and LA County, because of Woolsey, they are fully set up. They're following the Woolsey guidelines. And we're already getting clients in to get they've already been to the assessor to get all that information. And you give them tasks and it starts to just kind of snowball. So but to see the downtown, also the commercial buildings, they're Lake Avenue and I forget the other one, but you're seeing the commercial buildings that have been, the original library is gone. Or a portion of it, so I don't know if they'll be able to save that, but anything we can do to get out there and help them is, yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item 3, the Wells Fargo ATM. Is the applicant online for this? No one else online? They're on. Thank you. Is there anyone online? William Ponting, are you online? Or a rep?
I have a question. Why is it going to the full board? Is that like a big application? It's just an ATM. I mean, what's the?
I know.
You know,
What color is it?
I'm just wondering.
It's an ATM in Isla Vista.
I'm not sure if
yeah.
I'm the right person
Yeah,
to answer
yeah.
that question. I
It
don't-
just seems like, like when I was at the city, I remember like 1-story buildings will go, really quick.
Veronica's on, we can ask her.
This is.
Veronica, do you know why this is coming to us? Commercial. Item 3.
Madam Chair, I think Veronica stepped away for a moment, but
Oh, okay.
I believe it's because it's within the design control overlay, so that requires it to go.
Because it changes the elevation to the building. Is that?
Correct. It's an exterior change from the street that can be visible from the street.
Okay. Well, I don't think the applicant's here.
If you may want to ask Veronica, maybe they can put it on consent next time. If it's just the ATM, I think the board would feel a lot better if we move these things fast.
It does seem like we've been able to see items, concept, prelim, final when they're this type of scope. I know it's rare, but
We do have that option to agendize it for concept, prelim, final all in one. We don't normally add an item to the agenda on consent without the board weighing in first. But if the board directs us, we could for certain types of projects, we could preemptively do that.
Can we see it really quick?
as a general rule, yes, to at least give the applicant an option when it's this type of
And can we
like
show it really
one
quick?
trellis or one door or window or an ATM.
Let's take a quick look, and so we'll save some time. Let's go to the elevation. It's just a little. Yeah, is there a drawing, an elevation drawing? Oh, there it is. Yeah, yeah.
An ATM.
Yes.
Is this a standard thing or is it customizable or is it just a?
Yeah.
It's just
There.
like
Is there any design to be reviewed?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is this the entirety of it or is there another sheet? Yeah. We just scroll.
accurate of this?
Oh, it has a little roof.
It
Oh, that's probably why we have to see it.
doesn't exceed the height limit for ATMs, right?
You can keep scrolling, David.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good enough.
All right. So yes, please re-agendize it as concept prelim final on consent when it returns. And then item 4 has been continued. Might be moving too fast for some of the applicants, but is the applicant for item 5 Lori Carey?
I know, it's not, it's
Who's-
Kurt Magnus. And I
Okay.
guess I'm still recused.
Is it? Okay. So Kurt Magnus, he was just here in person at the beginning.
Magnus was?
Yes.
Is the applicant for C1?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Oh, for.
for C1.
Yeah.
C1.
The applicant for item number 6 is online if you want to.
All right, so we will return to item 5 if Kurt's able to come. Okay. Oh, okay, thanks. Moving on to item 6, the Kester Garage. Request of Gabriel Zamora, agent for Paul Kester, here for preliminary review of a 775 square foot detached garage, 175 square foot office. There's an existing 4,000 square foot single family residence and agricultural storage of 608 square feet on the property. Grading will include 226 cubic yards of cut to be dispersed on site. It's a 3-acre parcel located at 1691 Shepherd Mesa Lane.
We do have a planner memo for this one.
Okay, and there's also a few two comments, so I'll read those. Update site plans to show pedestrian and vehicle access, include adjacent structures on adjacent properties. Landscaping and car parking should be clearly depicted in grading showing impact on rural hillside. Return with photos of existing development to demonstrate how a proposed structure will integrate on the site. Different comments. Let me see if it looks.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I apologize. It's a little late, but just for the record, we did not have any public comment on that last item for Wells Fargo.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, we saw it on November. And we've seen it more than.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
project
here's the
here is,
comments from November 15th.
okay.
It's totally different.
Yeah, so the project here is for a new detached accessory structure in a garage and office. The structure is attached to an ADU. The ADU and all development directly related is not subject to SBAR review. Project was last reviewed by SBAR on November 15th, 24, and we made the following comments. The composition of the north elevation is awkward, out of scale, and should be restudied. Plate height of the garage should be reduced. Garage overpowers the ADU to which it's attached. Return with additional details showing landscaping around garage. Return with additional details showing how the driveway to the garage related to the road above. Provide a section through the garage going upslope. Plans show 2 walls on upgrading side of garage, but site section shows 1. Update to be consistent. Slopes appear to be greater than 2:1. Study whether additional retaining walls are required. Can you scroll through just a little, or scroll down a little bit, David? Return with additional details on landscape plan. Use native plantings on slope and incorporate irrigation. Include hardscape showing pedestrian connections between structures. Return with photo view from Shepherd Mesa Lane, but looking more northeast. And to clarify, is there a landscape set? I don't see landscape plans in this set. Karen, Robert, did you see them? Yeah.
And I think there was discussion, what we're reviewing is the garage, and then there were questions about the deck.
Yeah.
On the, what would that be, the west?
Looks like Mr. Zamora is online for this.
Mr. Zamora, can you check if we can hear you? Introduce yourself.
Looks like Mr. Zamora is unmuted.
Okay.
Mr. Zamora, sometimes if you you log out of Zoom and you log back in, that'll resolve audio issues.
Can you hear me now?
No. We don't have anyone else. Like, we don't have applicant number 5 for item 5 here either, so. Wait till we can hear someone. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, item 1, the landscape. He's raising his hand.
Mr. Zamora, so we can't hear you.
Yeah, usually it's in the agenda.
So Mr. Zamora, if you have a an agenda in front of you, you could use the call-in number for, if you go in, you can switch your audio input to phone, and then you should be able to get audio that way.
Any, no.
No, we're reviewing. We're reviewing the garage that's attached.
Title there says really big. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you guys want to discuss it, just make sure your mics are on.
Oops.
So I see Mr. Zamora's, there's a second, Mr. Zamora. Can you, looks like you're unmuted, but still not hearing anything for you, Mr. Zamora. Testing. Joe, can you do me a favor? Can you just say something just to make sure that we're getting input properly?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. So it looks like the system's working properly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I did notice before Mr. Zamora changed his audio device, I could almost hear somebody talking very, very faintly.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So
I'll
Mike,
I'll
it
check the
sounds like it's
settings.
on his end.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Mr. Zamora, can you hear us now?
Hello, can you hear me now?
We can hear you perfectly now.
Okay, I have the meeting up on my screen and I'm speaking to you via a separate connection on my phone. I don't understand why my computer microphone doesn't seem to be syncing with the meeting. I apologize.
Okay, glad you're here now. I'll go ahead and, let's see, did I read this? Yeah, I already read this.
Yeah, it's not. on the agenda.
But we already read the whole thing. So, go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation in relation to the comments that were in the memo that we already read.
Okay, yes. Hi, my name is Gabriel Zamora. I'm the applicant for the Kesters who are developing this project. And so I wanted to speak to the comments received on November the 15th, which I think were the comments that were just read in the memo. I am pulling those up just so that I can go through them orderly. You can bear with me. Sorry, I'm still getting reorganized. But so the first comment was with respect to the elevation of the garage in relationship to the ADU. And if I can refer you to sheet 11. you'll see on the top elevation, the garage has been lowered by a little, just over 2 feet, and that brings the eave of the garage in line with the eave of the connected ADU. And so that was done to make the garage more harmonious with the ADU. The second comment, I'm sorry, I'm still pulling these up.
The second was return with additional details showing landscaping around garage. We didn't see a landscape set in your plans.
There's not a landscape set, and that's something that we've worked with the planner Henry on, and I don't know if that was included in his memo to you, but if you refer to page 8, is the site plan and the landscape plan. There are a few details for the landscaping on page 8. The intention is really to keep the site impact to a minimum, including the landscaping, and to preserve the rural character of the site. And I think we'll get to that also when we talk about the fourth or the third comment. So there are some details with respect to the site wall and with respect to both the ground cover and the gravel that are proposed for the area that's impacted. But again, the intention is to minimize the impact on the site. There's an existing path. One of the requests was to show the access back to the main house. There's a path existing that goes up the slope that connects from the back of the garage to the existing house. And then the garage is surrounded by a gravel access path, and then on the back side there is a concrete walk or a concrete landing to step out from the office and from the man door to the garage. There's a couple of other things that are reflected on this plan that were in the comments. The landscaping has also been minimized by revision to the site wall, which was also part of the comments. Instead of a pair of load-bearing walls, that we've proposed a retaining wall along the backside of the site, or of the garage, sorry, and you can see that on page 4 and on page 13. Page 4 is a section through the garage and the ADU, and section 4 is a site section that shows that retaining wall, and you can see that at a larger scale on page 13. So there's on section 1, there's a retaining wall behind the garage that holds the slope back and reduces the amount of grading that was required to bring the garage lower. And so there's no, on November 15th, we were showing an impacted area on that slope, but that impacted area has been eliminated. Sorry, my screen is still split, and going back and forth between drawings and notes.
Would you like me to read the third comment? Or you already went through the sections, so then return with additional
Okay.
details on landscape plan, use native plantings on slope and
Right,
incorporate irrigation.
those are on, those would be on sheet 8, I believe.
Okay, I think the
Yeah,
intention of that
so,
comment was to have a planting and irrigation plan from the way it's worded.
Okay, and so the last item, with reducing the amount of cut and fill and grading, there are two areas for landscaping. One is, or I guess I would say there are three. One is the gravel access path around the garage and the office. And then the other two are adjacent to the ADU. One is a planter bed between the driveway and the ADU, and the second is the fill area to the west of the ADU. And on that fill, the intention is to apply a hydro seed mix of native ground cover. And there's a note that specifies that on the bottom right of the plan. And so again, the intention is to again minimize, not to neglect the landscaping, but to really keep it to a minimum and to preserve the rural character of the site. I think if we look at if we go up to, let's see. Thank you for bearing with me because my screen is still split. But if we go back to page 4, there was a request for an additional view of the site looking more to the north and to the west, or I think to the west. That's the photo on the top right of the sheet. And you can see both the area where the garage and ADU are going to be placed, but you'll also see that what the natural condition of the site is and how that hydro seed mix is meant to blend the garage and the ADU back onto the site.
We'll move on to questions from the board. Does anyone have any questions?
I just have one question. On the page 8, the site plan, there was a note about a wood deck to the left of the ADU.
That has
We don't
been-
see that.
I'm sorry, that note should have been removed. The deck has been removed from the entire project.
Okay.
There's
I
a
just
landing.
saw it was
yeah,
still on the notes, so that's why, but that was just the question.
I have a question. So the shaded area on this plan, that's where you put the 226 cubic yards of fill, if that where it goes?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Down.
you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Did you have any photos of the downslope where you're putting the fill? It didn't seem like it. I thought we had asked for that.
Yes, those are both on page 4. There are 2 of them. And if I, the ones that, the photo number 3 on page 4 is looking, directly at the location of the garage.
Right.
And then
but
if
that's
you
looking at
if you
the
look at
top.
number 6, if you look at number 6, that's looking, so you can see that, and that's the view of the entire property, including the downhill from the garage and the ADU.
The downhill to the west goes way down. I don't think that's
It
in
does,
this
yes.
photo. It's not in the photo. Where your area where you're putting the fill is not
Yeah,
in this photo.
It's the center of, it's right in the center, just kind of maybe beyond that shadow, but it's right there.
I have a question.
The trees at the back, the trees at the end of that photo are the back of the property.
Right, but as you go to the west and north, that's where the hill goes way down, not toward the trees. So,
You had a question?
I think is there a sheet, or could you talk a little bit how you get to the front door? Is it just from the driveway? I'm looking at the floor plan.
Sorry, the front door of.
Yes, the front door, I guess it would be of the residence or the ADU, essentially from the driveway.
It's direct.
Just directly off the driveway. Okay, now I see it. And so the deck has been eliminated, and now it's just deck stairs going up on the, I guess it'd be the west side of the building.
On the back side.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a separate entry. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll come to the board for comments. Val, you have any comments? Oh, sorry, public comment is there? Anyone online?
No request to speak on this
Okay,
item.
close public comment, move on to comments from the board. Val, would you like to start?
Well, I know this is kind of a challenging review for you as well as it is for us, because we're looking at the garage in context, but we're not reviewing the ADU. We appreciate you lowering the roof, but now the doors look incredibly pinched at the roof line of the garage. And I don't know if you can lower those to be more in
That was,
proportion.
sorry.
Go ahead.
That was a comment that was raised at a previous meeting. The height of the door is in relationship to the use of the garage and the character of the site. Again, it's a rural residential parcel, and so there are larger vehicles that will go into the garage, and so the door the door reflects that
Yeah.
aspect of the character of the site.
Okay. And then I guess I still have a concern about the grading area and the idea of doing hydroseed there. And I would ask the landscape architects to weigh in on that, because yes, it's a rural area and that existing hillside is kind of grassland. But once you disturb the site and add a bunch of fill, it's going to erode. And I think it needs more plants than just hydroseed. But I defer to the landscape architects.
Alex?
I don't have anything to add. I think the presentation is a little bit confusing, and that's why we're taking so long to go over it. I would like to see more information on the site, and I think it does need a landscape plan.
I don't have any additional comments.
Robert?
I don't really have anything to add other than you got to remove the note about the deck. It's been eliminated. And I don't think that the landscape that that is proposed here conflicts with the existing site. It's basically like an empty lot with grass growing on it and hydro seeding it, I think kind of help to mitigate erosion. I mean, you're not proposing anything that's gonna greatly enhance the property, but it just kind of fits in with what it is, I would suggest, in terms of the landscaping, so.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty modest building. I think it fits with the architecture that you guys have currently on the site. I kind of agree that the plans are a little confusing. I think it could benefit from some textures showing what's being proposed on the site for the pathways and things like that. I do think it's a significant enough building to, regardless if it's an ADU or not, with the garage addition and everything, that it should have some more landscaping, showing some shrubs kind of around the retaining walls. I agree that, some more substantial planting on the slope to help stabilize the slope and make this building feel grounded would be beneficial, so that the building doesn't feel just kind of plopped on an empty, site essentially. So I think some shrubs to help ground this building, maybe some trees. I know it's high fire up there, but those would be my comments. Thank you.
I should have clarified this, but it looks like the road that comes around this structure continues on past, is this an easement? Is the road that comes through that's acting, I guess, as the driveway, an easement for other residences? There's a section of private drive, but then it reconnects on the other side. If we go to the title sheet. Mr. Zamora, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
So the drive that loops around the existing residence and the proposed project, is that an easement for other residences, or is it just for this property?
It's just for this property.
Okay. Okay, then I disagree. I agree with the other board members' comments that I do think the scope of this project does deserve a landscape plan. It doesn't need to be anything extensive, but I think the erosion control mix is justified on the downhill slope, but the transition between the road and the retaining wall and garage, I think, deserves a little bit more study. I saw you have a few plant species in the list on the.
So, yeah, and if I can, so if you look again on page 4 at photo number 3, if you zoom in on that a little bit, you'll see there's an existing screening hedge between the house, the main residence to the left, and the area of development. And so one of the benefits of reducing of reducing the site impact is to be able to preserve that that screen. And so it looks like it looks like a bare slope on the survey on the site plan, but that area between, that buffer between the garage and the main residence is actually already in place.
Yeah, I think we understand that. It's the transition between the drive and the resident, or the drive and the garage that I'm noting, that it'll just be raw dirt and or erosion control mix between the asphalt road and the retaining wall and garage configuration. And that's where I think some sort of, at least a continuation of the existing landscaping that's around the main residence. It doesn't have to be complex, just that's it's a significant enough development that it needs to be addressed.
So if we look at page 8 again.
Okay.
And
so the area where the S10, not where the arrow is pointing, but where that actual call out sits is the area that I'm noting.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's where that screening hedge that we just looked at in the photo is.
Where was that photo taken from? Can you help direct David to
Yeah, if you move your cursor if you move your cursor up to the, it's basically where that call out, I'm trying to, it's taken from the road, the existing road, and it is on that sheet, it is where that call out ES1 is on the, yeah, looking down at the garage.
Okay, so I think maybe, because this is pretty confusing for us to be able to review, that's why we're kind of going in circles. So I think we need some more clarity on the existing site conditions. You can outline existing trees and vegetation or underlay the aerial, but I think we do need to understand the existing landscape and what's meant to be preserved and what's proposed more clearly for us to be able to review. So this is agendized for preliminary. Anyone want to make a motion?
I would like to say something first. I think the name of the project is New Garage and Office. We're seeing on the title block all over the place is accessory dwelling unit. That thing needs to disappear from the title. And then it should be outlined, the dark area, as ADU not part of this permit or something like that. So that's really because.
Yeah, I think that's a note to the planner.
The planner is online now.
Yeah, Henry, if you could just help us with, so that it's clear that we're not reviewing the ADU that we asked, because I think at some point in your process, you'll have them separated out into garage and site work versus ADU. And so if we can make sure we're reviewing that set.
Because, yeah, the garage and office is 1,000 square feet. I mean, excuse me, 950 or something, right? Yeah.
All right, if there's no motion being made, it will get continued for preliminary again. Okay, so please return for preliminary with the comments as noted. All right, and
So just to be clear, so now the board is asking for additional additional drawing for the landscaping around the garage.
consistent with our last comments that we're requesting a landscape plan, yes.
Okay.
I think you're also asking to identify the existing conditions around there that you're trying to support, help screen the structure. Is that correct?
Yeah, Joe, do you want to read back the comments for the applicant?
Yes, Madam Chair, I can read back what I have. So to start, the plans are difficult to read. Garage doors appear pinched at the roof line of the garage. I wasn't sure if that comment was from the whole board and if it was going to stay. I have a question about that.
There's a comment.
Okay. It's a comment.
It is a comment. Okay, great. Then
One board member said comment.
okay. The next comment is return with landscape plan. Include plans that demonstrate more substantial planting on slopes to enhance slope stability and ground the building. Transition between road, retaining wall, and garage needs additional planting detail. And clearly delineate what is existing and proposed to remain and what is proposed new.
I think that works. And pertaining to the hydroseed, it seems that on the board, we were willing to accept the hydroseed as the slope stabilizing downhill of the project where the fill is being spread, but we just need some more detail between the structures.
Okay, so board is willing to accept hydroseeding as planting downslope of structure, but needs more detail on slope above structure. Is that accurate?
I think so. You faded out a little bit. Yes, I think that's correct.
Sorry. Okay. And then the last one I have is remove note on plans related to deck. And that's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on to item 5, which is hilariously titled SBARF.
I'm gonna recuse and I think
Okay, Yeah, this is the last item today. All right, the Ghaffari Montacob new residence request of Lori Carey, but actually Kurt Magnus, architect for Homayun Ghaffari, here for final review of a two-story residence of approximately 3,648 square feet with upper floor, roof deck, covered outdoor room, outdoor patio, and an attached car garage of approximately 888 square feet and new site retaining walls of approximately 42 lineal feet in length. It's a vacant parcel. The project will require 950 cubic yards of cut and 820 of fill. It's a 2.83 acre parcel located at 1990 Las Canoas Ridgeway in the Mission Canyon area. Member Frasher is recusing herself, and I'll read the previous comments. Return with updated drawings that are internally consistent, i.e. pool is removed. Include railing and trellis details throughout drawings. Extend overhangs further. Provide landscape plan, including irrigation calculations. Okay, go ahead and state your name and present, focusing around the comments from last time it was heard.
Hi, thank you. My name's Kurt Magnus. I'm the architect on this project. This was originally started by Lori Carey way back 22. So pool that they want to remain in the future, so pool is shown, but there was an additional glass trellis that was confusing the board, and we removed that. I think the landscape plan was asked for an irrigation plan and the Waylo calcs, and so we've added that. We've added a few details and comments before were increase the length of the eyebrow and so on.
Did you take a look at extending the overhangs further? Do you know which?
Yes, yeah. Want to look at the elevations. Okay, so there's little eyebrows on some of the south-facing sliding doors and stuff that were extended further than were in the original. Added a foot or so to them.
How long do they stand? How long is the overhang on the south side?
About 3 feet, I think.
3 feet?
3 feet.
3 feet, okay.
We also added some overhangs on the east side there too, just kind of help soften that garage door face. That's kind of it.
Okay. We'll move on to questions from the board.
Well, God, do you have a color board? A color board, colors and materials.
It's
color.
on one of the pages.
3.1, page 8. Has some on there.
Guess the next one down.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, so the wall is kind of a gray plaster.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The fascia trim is kind of a rusted bronze.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, move on to public comment. Is there anyone online that would like to speak on this item?
No requests.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Alex.
I think the applicant responded to the comments, and we've seen this along in 21, 22, 23, 24, and finally in 2025, it will get approved, hopefully.
Great, thank you.
All right, and Amy?
I don't have any other comments. It does look like a nice project, but I also haven't been part of the previous reviews, so.
Robert?
I think they've responded to the comments. Forward it.
Okay, thank you. Agreed, and it is here for final review. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Glad to make a motion for final approval as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Kier, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congrats.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. And that concludes our agenda for today.